Good morning, everyone. It's 1400 Noon here with another update. We're gonna dive right into this Carmelo Anthony situation. The jury selection has been put out. There will be no black jurors on this case. Out of 600 jurors, they chose 12 plus 6 extra. And though there are some minority people in the jury selection, there is no black people. And obviously, of course, like I said in my last video, this is all gonna come down to race. And this one small thing has been a huge problem in the community, in the black community specifically. But we're gonna look at a few clips today and break down a couple things that's going on with this case. And I'm going to put it very short and sweet at the end why I think there's a chance that Carmelo Anthony could walk on self-defense.
More than 500 people were on the list of potential jurors, but the jury will not include anyone who is black, despite this case being racially charged. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now. Alex.
Hey guys, good evening. That's right. And I can tell you that a court spokesperson confirmed that there are indeed no black jurors on this panel. And I can tell you that before this jury panel was seated, the defense objected to 3 black women being struck by the prosecution. Now, the prosecution contended that it was due to the fact that the women were educators, noting that this incident happened at a school function with young students. The defense then pointed out that those were three of those were 100% of the available black jurors in what's called the strike zone, adding that the state struck all 3. The judge went out and reviewed their questionnaires and came back and said that the defense's challenge to the 3 jurors being dismissed was denied. The judge said the court found that the state had non-racial means to strike the jurors.
Yeah, like I was saying, they're not having no black, no black, no black. I know black, I know black. They're not having no black people on the jury, bro. Now, they're gonna say, oh, it's not because they're black, it was just because, they just weren't qualified. We're just teachers, Doesn't make any goddamn sense. At the end of the day, it should be fair. It should be a fair trial. At the end of the day, if you just not to say that if you put an all-white juror or an all-white jury there, that he's just gonna get cooked. But the chances of him getting cooked is more likely. Let's be real. There's always going to be a bias in these cases, regardless of the jurors you pick. But, you got to tell your story at the end of the day in trial. But when it comes to this case, we all know that the white people, they're not happy. They want to see this nigga in jail. All right? They want to see this nigga under the jail. They want to see that nigga picking cotton and outside in the sun, hammering rocks for the rest of his life in Texas. Okay? They want to see that nigga as a slave property of Texas state prison. That's what they want to see. Let me show you this clip real quick so you could see what I'm talking about.
The particular jurisdiction where this is going to be held, Collin County, 2024 election results, interestingly, went 54% for Trump, 43% for Harris. It's 54% white. It's 0.7% black, 16% Hispanic or Latino, 18% Indian, it says. I don't know if they mean Asian or American, but it's predominantly white. And so, you're probably going to have a jury that reflects that general makeup. Not sure exactly how that will play, but certainly should play better than the OJ trial played in Los Angeles, for, a jury that was predominantly minority and had a grudge against the cops. Phil mentions the thing about provoking, Ashley. The thing is, Carmelo Anthony could argue that he was provoked potentially by Austin putting hands on him. Number one, Phil's right. The force you use after somebody lays hands on you cannot be disproportionate. Deadly force cannot be used just because somebody places hands on you, even if it's a push or a shove or like a try to pushing you out of the tent. That's not going to work. But even let's say he's going to say, I thought he had a weapon or something like that. If you provoked him into laying those hands on you, you can't win on a self-defense defense.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You hear this, lady? The bitch sounds like she's just like this happened to her son. Which, understandably, this is a serious situation, you know? Austin Metcalf shouldn't have died. This should have never happened. But listen to what this lady's really saying. If you provoked him, then you can't claim self-defense for those hands being put on you. Bitch, did you even read the case? Because that's not even what happened. The nigga went under the tent because it was raining, and the nigga wanted to go there. There's no law that's against a student going to a next tent. Okay? Now I understand that what Anthony did was terrible. But we cannot jump to conclusions and think, oh, this is just a cold-blooded murder. That's not what happened. They got into an altercation. You know, he pulled out a knife, he stabbed him, and he ran away because he was scared. He was crying in front of cops because he was scared. That is not someone that is a cold-blooded killer. All right, ma'am? So calm the fuck down.
Right. It's going to be a very difficult case for the defense. I think we have a little bit of a hint as to what they're going to argue in some of the statements. He hasn't made a lot of statements, but the defense lawyer did make a statement that I've looked at a couple times. He said something about the state's not going to be able to disprove beyond a reasonable doubt that this was self-defense. So I think even he has recognized that this isn't what we would call a perfect self-defense. It's a very messy self-defense, but I think he's going to put it up anyway. And honestly, I don't think he has a lot of other options other than for him to, present this to the prosecution and plea for mercy, which is what he should have done because he murdered this kid. I mean, he definitely murdered this poor child who should be graduating high school and getting ready to go off to college, should be enjoying his last summer before college. And instead, his parents are mourning his loss. I mean, it is murder. And I don't think a jury is going to cut him any sympathy. The fact that he walked up to this tent where, you got to think about the situation. It's a track meet where there's lots of different tents. Everybody is there under their own school's tent. We look at it through a race lens, but these are events where you don't really go up to, your opponent and go and hang out with them. Yeah, like you don't do that. You don't go to the other
you say, get out.
Right. Like that's not racial.
Try going to a Giants game and sitting on the wrong side. This happens at every sporting event.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like you're going in the locker room of your opponent and being like, hey, let's hang out. What do you expect? And so, if this guy laid hands on him, laying hands on him does not mean that this kid was in reasonable fear of an immediate bodily injury, a serious bodily injury.
Yo, this bitch is crazy, bro. So she basically saying, oh, well, since it's the opposite team, why would they want to hang out? Like, you don't see that at a Knicks game or a Jets game. Like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? So that means, from what she said, that Austin had all right to put his hands on Anthony because he came to their tent. Bitch, are you high? I don't know what's going on with your eye, but I think there's something wrong with this bitch because what the hell are you talking about? Just because somebody goes to someone's tent during a fucking game does not mean that's provoking somebody. That's not provoking somebody. Okay? Now, do I agree that he shouldn't have got stabbed? Yes, but that's still not any type of provoking. Not even close to provoking. That's regular shit. If anything, if Metcalf didn't really want him over there, he didn't have to fight him. He could have easily just went and told one of the teachers or someone that was around and they would have escorted him away. Very simple. But as you can see, the white people aren't happy, man. They want blood. They want a nigga picking cotton in Texas jail. They want him in prison. But let's pay attention to something though, right? They're trying to paint this kid, Karmelo Anthony, as some cold-blooded, premeditating killer. Hence why he's getting charged with first-degree murder. But if you really pay attention, if you've been paying attention to this case, I don't think there's any reason to think that is the case. And if the prosecution or the persecution or whatever you want to call them niggas, if they are trying to basically shoot the gun and go all the way on these charges, there's a very good chance Karmelo could possibly walk free. And I'll tell you why. Because it's kind of like what happened in the Rick Chow case, right? They charged Rick Chow so high with the most, the highest charge they can give him, right? To where it was either that or nothing, right? It was either that or self-defense. And that played a huge part in how he won that case. Because you have to prove without a reasonable doubt that this is premeditated murder, right? First degree is premeditated, meaning that you went there with the plan to kill somebody. Okay? And this is why Karmelo Anthony's lawyer came out and even said that he knows that the state cannot prove without a reasonable doubt. Now, she tried to say that and say, oh, they could tell that this is not just a straightforward self-defense. Bitch, most self-defense cases are not straightforward, okay? They all, to some degree, require evidence and additional information to make sure that this person that is claiming self-defense is cleared, right? Most self-defense cases are messy, okay? Because they happen out of nowhere, okay? Most people aren't prepared for these type of situations, and that's why it happens. Okay, and even when you are prepared, that doesn't mean that, oh, okay, it's clear cut, he's just going to jail. No, that's not how it works. You got to go to court, you got to go to trial, you got to get all the information, and you guys should know this since you guys are so into taking these cases and giving your fucking opinion on it. But nonetheless, what do you guys think? I personally think that if they stick to this degree of, you know what, this kid is a fucking cold-blooded murderer, he deserves life in prison. First degree is premeditated. He planned to do this. The state's going to lose. Because that's not the case. Should Karmelo Anthony have been at the tent? I feel like this part is so irrelevant because, again, so many kids do this, right? So I don't feel like it was a problem for him being at the tent, especially if he wasn't over there provoking anyone. If he was just over there to stay dry from the rain or because he was tired, because just keep in mind, this is a track meet, okay? Just because he brought a weapon in his bag doesn't mean that his intention was to go there and kill somebody. Now, do I think that he should get some type of consequences? Yes, because he killed somebody and he killed someone that was in an unjust way, and he deserves to pay for that. But not with first degree murder. There's lots of other charges that could be brought up that you could have gave him. You know what I'm saying? But trying to shoot for this first degree doesn't even make sense. And I feel like the reason why they even did this was because of how high profile this case is. Just like they did with the Rick Chow one. Anytime a case has to do with racism, especially with us, us black people, us niggas, they always got to blow shit out of proportion, right? And whether we're on the losing side or winning side of the end of trials, race, anything attached to black is always going to play a part in why some shit happens, right? And it's gonna, either stir the viewpoint left or right, It's either you're gonna think, just like right now, either you're gonna think Karmelo's innocent, these kids grabbed Karmelo, they tried to punch on him or whatever. Because we don't know all the facts. We just know whatever was told to us a year ago, which is the same shit that we've been getting told, right? We're waiting for the real trial. But y'all let me know in the comments below, what do you think's gonna happen? Do you think Karmelo could win this trial? Because I feel like there's a good chance he could. It's a very good chance he could. Let me know in the comments below. Tap that subscribe button. It's 1400 Nunu. I'm out.